Here for Tarps Off MMA, and with me today is Kevin Natividad, ahead of his matchup with Danaa at UFC 261. How are you, Kevin?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So obviously we're deep into fight week now. How's the camp been for you so far?
Training camp was great this time around. I had a lot of weeks to prepare. The last fight I had like 5. This time I had like 10, so like double the amount of time to get ready. And it was good physically and mentally as well. Like we did a lot of mental prep, like equally as much mental prep as much as the physical. So this time around I'm feeling like way better.
Mm-hmm. And what's it been like, training in COVID environments, both this time out and your UFC debut?
During my UFC debut, so it's actually a huge difference between the two.
Mm-hmm.
The first, leading up to my debut, I was like super careful who I trained with. I had the same 3 training partners, my brother and 2 of my other teammates, Cedric Katamba, Jafir Bukhari, and Seth Wheeler. And, like I've trained with them almost my whole time, like even before I became like a pro. So it's like, them, even though they're like, they give me some of my best like live work and everything. Like once we go hard, it's, you just go back to what you normally do. So like you learn your training partners. And on top of that, like I had to leave the gym early, and just because like we had regular classes going on, so like people would come in and we were too worried about getting COVID and or catching it on accident because of what happened to me the first time back in September. I had a false positive, so I didn't want anything like that to happen again. And then yeah, we were super limited. Like I didn't even do jiu-jitsu classes with any of the jiu-jitsu guys because they were training with the regular classes. And yeah, it was, like I said, super limited. But this time around, I feel like we switched it up. I opened it up. It doesn't even matter to me anymore. Like, well, for one thing, I actually got it back in January. And for me, it wasn't too bad. I lost my taste and smell. But after that, like we were just free. Like I went out to go train. I did jiu-jitsu with everybody. I reached out to more training partners as well. I started training also up at Fight Ready MMA and Fitness. And there's a bunch of UFC, Bellator, LFA, and a bunch of upcomers training over there too. So yeah, compared to the last camp to this camp, plus I had double the amount of time. This time is way more, how should I say? It feels way more complete.
Okay. And just to drop back to that first fight for a minute in the UFC, of course, you got the unfortunate loss, which may be down to, the COVID situations, whatnot. But one of the sort of big things that you always hear, say, like the commentators say, is getting those early rounds in. You got 2 strong competitive rounds in that fight early on. What sort of positives do you take from that initial fight in the UFC?
Well, positives that I took, I want to talk about, the fact that I went in there like completely filled with anxiety was kind of rough. And like a good thing that I guess one of the first positives that I was able to bring myself to was the fact that I went in there regardless of how I felt. Like I'm not going to take anything away from, my opponent. Like he's a tough fighter and his record speaks for itself, And yeah, like like I said, I don't want to take anything away from him, but that was like what I feel like was 30% of my capability. At least that's what my coach says. He's like, that's 30% Kevin Natividad. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't know. Like, I just felt like I was stuck in the mud or something. But the fact that I went in there and I didn't want to give up, like that was a big positive for me, regardless of how it felt the whole time. And to be honest with you, I don't remember too much about that fight. I remember just being in between rounds, like trying to hit him and being like, why do I feel like I don't have pop in my punches? Oh man, this sucks. Like, why does this suck right now? But the fact that I know I didn't want to give up. I know mentally I was there the whole time, except for after the knockout. I don't remember it, so I wasn't there. But dude, it's it was a huge learning experience. As far as what I needed afterward, you know,
Mhm.
that's when I knew I needed to reach out and not just train that same, like how I did during, like what I was talking about. I was limited to three. I felt super limited in my training camp. I trained for that fight like I was a boxer with takedown defense, and I do way more than that, you know. So it was kind of, it was rough, but at the end of the day, it helped me grow and become a better person and a fighter, I think.
And is it a fight that you want to get back at some point in your career against Johns, or is it just a a thing of the past now?
I never, I never really think of my fights like that. But if they ever asked, I'd be down. Yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
of course, I wouldn't want to like avenge the losses.
And then, well, obviously, one of the big things surrounding not only that fight but all of 2020 is the lack of fans in attendance, and now we've got them back. Are you looking forward to it, or did you like the empty cage?
I for a while, the fans didn't matter to me.
Mm.
Um, that's why going into there, like I wasn't like it didn't, especially for the UFC, it didn't feel too much different to me, especially since I was so nervous. But at the end of the day, especially with like a supporting crowd and even like a hating crowd, like it can give you an extra boost of energy and confidence. Like for me, I feel like I walk out there with no fans and it's like a glorified sparring match. Like it's just my coaches and their coaches, and then we just fight. But there's like someone's recording, and then this time around, it's like there's a bunch of people out there, my coaches, their coaches, and I get to show off to all these people that don't know who I am yet. That's how I'm kind of thinking of it as.
Okay. And then looking at your opponent on Saturday, uh, Batgerel Danaa, I believe the name is. You say it backwards because Mongolian. When you look at him, like as a fighter, he's got 2 fights in the UFC so far. What do you think are his major strengths, and then equally his major weaknesses?
He definitely looks like a more of a striker. Like, I mean, the second fight he knocked the guy out with what I thought was a jab, but it was kind of like a long left hook.
Yeah.
And then his debut, he was going pretty back and forth, and he was super tough with the guy that he fought. He looks pretty well rounded. I saw him time some decent shots. Um, looks like he got a little tired toward the end, but I mean, it sounds like from what I've heard, he's been training pretty hard. So hopefully his conditioning is good. I don't know. I'm making an all-out war, but some type of like technical violence that I'm expecting, and I'm ready for it. I'm ready for 3 rounds. I'm ready for 4 or 5 if they need to. Like I'm mentally prepared to go the distance. Technical, and I can imagine us standing. Maybe he might take a random shot at one time because he kind of did in the first fight. I don't know. He's well rounded, man. I mean, he looks good all around. He didn't look too good on his back in that first fight, but I mean, I'm thinking he got tired. That's what it looks like to me. So we'll see. We'll
Okay.
see.
And then, well, not to look past him, of course, but looking at 2021, how active are you looking to be this year? How many fights do you want to get?
So that's an interesting thing because I go back and forth a lot, honestly. I originally I wanted to be that guy that fought like 3 or 4 times a year, like 4 or 5 if I could. But after this, we'll see, man. Like, kind of like I'm kind of just going with how it feels, you know. Like after this, like especially if I don't take any injuries, oh yeah, I want to get back in as soon as I can. But you know, if I do, like I think about all that stuff, like the health of myself and also to grow, you know, as a fighter. Because like one thing that I've noticed, and like after my first loss too, or you know my UFC debut, um, I felt like I wasn't growing as a fighter. So I felt like I needed to take off the stress, take off the pressure, and allow myself to find my love for the sport again. Not that I lost it, but it was pretty stressful afterward. Like I was in a kind of dark place. But I started having fun with it and having fun play like not going super hard sparring. I felt like I got better just by doing that. So I was allowed to be creative. So I guess depending on how I feel after this fight, it depends. Like I know I would at least like to fight twice, two more after this one, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, one step at a time. Makes sense, especially in the current climate. Okay, and then this is a little bit off topic from your current fight, but you know, one of the big pieces of news circulating around the UFC right now is the revival of Tough, the Ultimate Fighter, and one of I think it's one of the two brackets of competitors in there are going to be 135 pounders, bantamweight's your division. And obviously you're in the UFC now, but had the UFC come to you, you know, back in your LFA days, would that have been a route to the UFC that you would have been interested in? What's your thoughts on, you know, using the Ultimate Fighter to get into the UFC?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know. It just looks fun to me. Plus, it's like it looks like a reality show kind of thing, which that part I'm not too down with if we have to act or something. But I mean, you're in an environment for like how long is it? It's like 6 weeks or something,
6 weeks,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Like you're in an environment for 6 weeks and you're focused, you're training with all these guys and they're bringing in all these like your coaches for the Ultimate Fighter are bringing in all these guys to help you train and get better. Like it just sounds like a way to improve to me. Like win or lose, like I'd love to do it. Yeah. Well, I'm in the UFC now, but
Maybe a
if I can get my
coach.
brother to do it,
um,
I know that somewhere down the line, figure that out.
and then sticking with the theme of the bantamweight division, we of course have a huge amount of controversy surrounding you know, the current belt. You know, you've got Jan and Sterling. Sterling, obviously the current champion. Jan calling for him to be stripped of the belt. What are your thoughts on that whole, you know, controversy surrounding it?
It's tough, man. I mean, I could see either side, or I can I see why they both feel the way they do on both sides, you know, especially like Jan, because he was winning pretty much the whole fight, you know, but then he threw an illegal strike against the rules and he like seriously hurt Aljamain, you know, and Aljamain's no joke either, like, and all I could say is if it were me and I won the title that way, and I'm not taking anything away from Aljamain Sterling because I think he's a great fighter. He seems like a great guy too. But if it were me, I don't know. Like I'm not fighting for the money or anything either. So I wouldn't want to win the belt that way. And if I won the belt that way and I had to be out for 9 months, I'd be like, ah, just give it back. Like, you know what I mean? Or let somebody else fight for it. And then like I'm confident enough in my skills, I'll get back up there and win it again. You know? Kind of like the whole thing that ended up with Dominic Cruz, you know, back in the day, he kept getting all these injuries, and then he like had that one fight and was super dominant. And then he came back and he won the title. So, I mean, I don't mind that. I don't mind working my way back up. There's something satisfying about hard work and then getting up there again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just me.
And then you just mentioned you're not in it for the money. What is your sort of sole motivator to, you know, that keeps you going throughout the sport?
Dude, I just love it. Honestly, I really. I want to see how, you know, like, and I want to see the level that I can compete at sports and everything. Like, I tried like football, like I suck at basketball, and you know, not a very fast runner. I mean, some people I'm fast, but I don't like running. And fighting was the only one that clicked with me ever since I was young. Like, I've been fighting, you know, not just defending myself, but yeah, like it's the only thing that ever clicked with me. And it's the only thing that I've kind of ever wanted to do ever since I got into it, like starting jiu-jitsu and everything. Like, I don't know. I mean, I want to be the champion. I want to get to the highest level, but my sole motivation to do it is because I love it. I have no other reason than that. I mean, there are always other things included, but that's like, to sum it up, I just love it.
Okay. Well, I think you need that passion for the sport to be successful in it. So, yeah. And then just one more question. Not necessarily for your next fight or whatever, but is there any fight in the bantamweight division right now that, you know, you would love to get one day against, I don't know, maybe a legend or a top ranked fighter, one fight that really, really appeals to you?
Oh, I mean, yeah, somewhere down the line, if you go back to like my Instagram or my Facebook a long time ago, you'll see that way back when one of my favorite fighters of all time is Jose Aldo. And it's crazy that we're in the same division now. Like, I was watching him when I was in high school, when I like discovered MMA, and I just can't believe that, you know, sometimes it blows my mind to say that we're here like in the same division. He's obviously way ahead of me, like, yeah, of course. But if I ever had to pick a fight like that I wanted somewhere down the line that scares me but wants to do it anyway, it'd be against Jose Aldo.
Yep. I think that's as good a choice as any you can make. Well, that's all I've got for you today, Kevin. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. I'll give you the last word. If there's any shout outs or sponsors you want to do, you know, let people know where to find you on social media.
Social media, what is my Instagram? I forgot. It's like, my Instagram is knatividad.inc. Twitter is natividad_Kevin. I hardly use my Twitter. I mean, I try to. I've been better about it. And I do want to shout out like guys like Hawaiian Fight Gear, who have been can't really see it, but Hawaiian Fight Gear, they've been supporting me my whole career, over 10 years, even as an amateur, like when I barely started. And Blacksmith MMA, up and coming MMA gear. I'd keep a lookout for them. And Amanda Warfield Hair Bar. All the braids and everything that I used to do that I kind of got rid of. I kind of just let her do whatever she wants. So this isn't stop anything, but yeah, she does my hair. And my beautiful fiance, Alexa Heiser, my #1 fan and biggest supporter.
Great. All right. Well, best of luck this weekend. I'll definitely be rooting for you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, man. Thank you.